because I need to concentrate on my accents. The accent's important. Cologne, Cologne, Cologne with an umlaut. Hi guys, and welcome to my online workshop with artistravel. And today we are in sunny Cologne, okay, or as the Germans say, Cologne. I've been practicing that, Cologne. And what's really cool is Cologne has an umlaut above the O, and I just love that. It's so brilliant, because my previous workshop was in Munster, and Munster had an umlaut. So I'm kind of going around Germany just following the umlauts, which is so good for me because we don't see them in England. Anyway, we're in Cologne. The weather is gorgeous, okay? I've got my cool shades on. We're on the banks of the Rhine, and behind me, as you can see, and here, okay, is this amazing arched railway bridge. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the name, okay, because I'm here to focus on teaching art and not pronouncing the name of German bridges. So guys, it's going to be great fun. Someone's going to have to get me a coffee, which I'm really excited about, and it's going to be great fun, and thanks for joining me. So step one, I always feel, is the hardest step. It's the step where you can always go wrong, you can always make a mistake, you can always do something, draw something which just isn't going to work. So in order to safeguard against that, to kind of make sure that you don't make that mistake, I'm going to place some pens on the page first of all, okay? So basically the bridge, as it comes down from right to left, all right, is going to go about there. And then the bank of the river, across the River Rhine, is going to go there, okay? The bottom part of the bridge is going to sweep down like that. And then that amazing cathedral with its two spires, Cologne Cathedral, is going to go there. Okay, so then from that I know that the small arch, which is furthest away, goes there, and then the big arch goes there. And that is basically all I need to do initially, just to help me to visualize how I'm going to get the outline shapes onto the piece of paper. So guys, I've taken the pens off the page, okay, to help me visualize where things are going to go. And I'm going to sketch the outline. I'm just going to sketch in the big shapes. And to do that, I'm going to use the warm grey Tombow brush pen and the cool grey. Okay, and I'm just going to play between the two at the moment. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is just sketch the bridge. Okay, and it's going to start off there, and it's going to go up like that. Hold the pen really lightly, like that. Very, very soft and light. And then we'll just do the first arch, which is going to come around like this, make that a little bit bigger, and then we'll just do the second arch, just going to sweep round like that. So there's the two arches, which really take up a lot of that space, okay, and the shape of them is just so cool, so much fun. We're going to have some great fun with that later. So let's come down now with the rest of the bridge. Okay guys, so I've done step one, okay, which is just a very, very loose outline. It's got the two amazing arches in, it's got the sweep of the River Rhine, it's also got the cathedral in the background, but it's still very, very loose, very kind of untidy, but it's got enough information down for me to start painting. Now normally I would do another step of drawing first. I would do like what we call step two, which is to go in with the fine liners. But I want to do this a bit different, okay? I want to make the paint talk and express itself a little bit more without being restricted by lines. So I'm going to go straight in now with the paint. So step two is the painting. Now these are the paints, okay? I'm probably going to start off painting the cathedral in the background, and I think I'm going to use a bit of Windsor Blue, maybe a bit of black, a bit of white, maybe a little bit of burnt umber, I'm not sure yet. And then I'll probably drag it into the water, and then I'm going to really start focusing on the bridge. And the bridge is green, okay? It's like a kind of khaki army green. So I will do it green, and I've got Viridian, and I've got cobalt turquoise light, and maybe a bit of cerulean, maybe a bit of ultramarine. So I'm going to really play with lots of greens and blues, okay? And then drag that colour down into the water, maybe using kind of some of the gold umbers, this kind of lovely kind of deep, rich, golden ochre colour that I've got here. So I'm just going to really play and see what happens, okay? Let the fun begin. So, Windsor Blue, very, very strong, okay? Way too bright at this stage. So let's go in with a little bit of brown, just to calm this down a little bit. Now that blue, I'm loving that blue, it's really bright and vibrant. Okay, so I think I'm going to keep some of this blue. So I'm just going to get the dome in first. Just going to bring out now some of this cobalt turquoise light. Would be easier if Ian spoke without a brush in his mouth. So what I'm doing, I'm looking at the bridge and I'm seeing loads and loads and loads of different shades of green, okay? There's khaki green, there's like a green, browny green, there's a bluey green under the arch. So I'm really kind of referencing and just channeling a lot of the different greens that I can actually see or feel, or just feel the picture needs, because it's such a monumental structure. It's like so powerful and so imposing. And check these shapes out. Look at these. Just such good fun. And as I said before, because I've got less information on the page, I've skipped out kind of step 2. I am having to paint a little bit more carefully than I would do normally. But that's good, that's okay. I like that. Now all the time, as I'm painting, I'm aware that I'm going to be drawing next. So I don't want to kind of overdo things with this, because obviously a lot of this real kind of like detail in the structure is going to be done with line work. You know, all these kind of like amazing structures, all these triangles, all these kind of shapes that are being thrown up, they're all going to be done, or most of them are going to be done with pen. So I don't kind of want to overdo it at this stage. And this is great fun. Can you see I'm holding the brush? I'm holding the brush right at the very, very tip. And I'm just taking a line very gently for a walk, just to give a little suggestion of the water. And with this step, with the brush pens, I don't feel there's a huge amount I need to do. I mean, for example, I could go over it all in brush pen, the cathedral, and the problem then would be is I'd lose the freshness of the colours. So when you're using these pens, you have to be very careful that you don't lose what you've already done with the painting stage, because you can never get it back again. So it's probably always a good idea to kind of do less than you think you need with the brush pens. Okay guys, so we are now moving on to the final stage, but obviously there's loads and loads and loads to do. We've still got loads of detail to do. Basically, the final stage is the detail, but there's lots of detail. I'm probably going to do this now in about 3 or 4 steps. So I'm just taking a line for a walk here. Can you see this is a 0.5, so it's quite thick, but I'm just really channeling the kind of the patterns and what's going on. And there's just loads of amazing patterns up there. Now you can't draw every single piece of iron or iron structure. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of glancing up, getting attacked by a wasp, and just sort of like simplifying. So I feel in this sketch I'm going to do a lot of hatching. So hatching is basically just going from side to side really quickly with the pen, because I just kind of feel it needs it. I don't want the whole thing to be too heavy, because this is very heavy and dominant anyway. So I want the rest of the drawing to be quite light and loose and fresh. Because of the darkness of this building, it's very hard to kind of pick out what's going on with some of these windows. And in some ways, that's not really massively important. You know, as long as I've got the kind of the shape and the tone right, I'm kind of happy. Do you know, I think the bridge is just made up of so many really intricate patterns and designs. I don't think there's any one particular part. What I'm trying to do is get it to fit in with the picture. I'm trying to get it balanced with this and this. So all the time, I'm not working on one specific point. I'm just kind of bouncing around all the time. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to get the brush pens, and I'm just going to do a little bit more work with the brush pens now. And again, this is still the detail, but it's important to recognise that when you're doing the detail can be made up of drawing and brush pen work and even painting as well, okay? Because it's not so much the tools that you use, it's your vision, it's what you're actually looking for. So I'm looking now at the shapes, at the patterns, I'm looking inside, and just really trying to bring this sketch to life. And it doesn't matter what tool I've got in my hand, whether it's a paintbrush, a brush pen, or a fine liner. And it's like a lot of people, you know, often wonder, how do you know when a sketch is finished? Because you can easily overwork it, you know, you can easily just do too much. And you have to keep being very mindful of that all the time. You know, you don't want to overwork your sketches, because once you've overworked it, there's no kind of going back really. And it's tricky. I think sometimes you've just got to kind of live with it for a while and make sure you've got everything in that you want to get in, and it just takes a little bit of time. I mean, the way I measure it is I've kind of like drawn everything, everything's in, there's nothing left really to sketch. Now, as I'm working on this sketch, I'm kind of thinking how I'm going to finish it off. And I really feel like I need to do a little bit of painting again at the end. And I sometimes do that and sometimes I don't. You know, it just very much depends on what the sketch needs. But I think with this one, I just feel I want a bit more cobalt turquoise light. Now, I'm at the stage now where I'm looking really carefully at the subject, okay? I'm spending more time actually looking into the scene than I am drawing, because I'm scanning it and thinking, have I got everything in that I feel is important? So it's at the stage now where you're mindful that you really don't want to kind of overwork things. Very strong danger you could do that. So I think I'm going to stop now. I'm not going to do any more line work, okay? And I'm going to put a little bit more colour on and just try and lift the colour even more, because I like the colour. The colour's okay, but I just feel I can probably lift things a little bit more. Especially around here, I need some cobalt turquoise light around here. I want to strengthen this blue and strengthen this reflection. Just brighten up this reflection. Hey, look at that, gorgeous, that's what it needed. Need that little ping there, just that little pop. Let's just recap on what we've done. Okay, so we started off sketching the big shapes with the brush pens. Then we dive straight in with the paints. Okay, not worrying too much about any great accuracy, but channeling in many, many ways local colour. Okay, observable colour, in the sense that the cathedral was made up of lots of kind of Windsor deep blues and burnt siennas and burnt umbers, and then the bridge is green. You know, that structure is green, but I've kind of invented lots of different greens. So we've got turquoise, we've got sap green, we've got green gold, we've got viridian green. So loads and loads and loads of different greens, just playing around with the greens and then blending things back into the water to give a sense of how these structures and these buildings sit on top of the Rhine. Then I went in with the brush pen, didn't do a huge amount of work with the brush pen because it wasn't really necessary, and if it did, it would have muddied the colours, and I like the freshness of the colours coming through. And then we really started working in the detail, okay, noticing all the different shapes and patterns and structures, even noticing the rivets, little boat in the background, little steps coming down here, loads and loads of amazing crosses and windows on Cologne Cathedral, pinging it back down to the brickwork here, all the reflections in the water, and just having so much fun. It's been great. The sketch has been really, really good fun to do. The challenge is avoiding the wasps.